everybody back to life.
It would be rare to cancel, but we definitely cancel them from the standpoint of the county. Boy, our bell's quick again.
Yeah. Bell's ringing here. Morning, Bruce.
Late for school.
Yeah, almost.
Morning, Bruce.
Morning, Dave and Dave. Daryl and Daryl.
No, you're nothing like that.
Dave and the other Dave.
Dave and the other Dave.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry for invading your space there. What's that?
Dave and the other Dave.
How are you?
John took a ball. County on today?
He fell. He fell Sunday and he's all banged up. He said he couldn't hardly move this morning.
You trying to be the next Dave here or something like that?
I just think, didn't you find yourself walking gingerly on the ice?
Yes.
At your driveway?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, we all did, right? Well, obviously he went like,
He decided that wasn't a factor, huh?
well, it was now.
It was now. Wow. Okay. Good morning and welcome to the Berry County Board of Commissioners Committee of the Whole meeting for January 21st, 2025. If you would please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Reports from state and county officials. Do we have any state or county officials that are with us this morning that would like to give an update to the board? Hearing none. Limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes for items that are on the agenda, please.
Good morning. Bill Mattson, Executive Director of the Family Support Center, the Child Abuse Prevention Partner here in Berry County. I want to come to you and talk to you today about the Opioid Settlement Fund RFP that Liz Lenz will be putting forward today, and I would ask that you would approve it. The Health Department indicated alone in 2023 that there were 19 drug-related deaths, with 13 of them being from opioids, and about 85% of those opioid-related deaths here in Berry County also involved fentanyl. The CDC looks at Berry County and the number of prescriptions for opioids that they present, and it's about 18.6 prescriptions for opioids per 100 people here in Berry County. So that's a lot of opioids out on the street. Spending the opioid settlement money on the community is a critical opportunity for this board to address the devastating impacts of this crisis that we're in. And a couple points of why it's essential that we spend this on the community. We're going to address root causes of the problem. Prevention programs will be put in place, and mental health services will be strengthened. We're going to support recovery of those people. We're going to look at treatment and rehabilitation. We're going to possibly look at recovery housing and employment issues. And we're going to strengthen the healthcare systems, emergency response, integrated care. We're going to help affected families. That's more support services, and also it impacts the child welfare system that I'm a part of. And we're going to build resilient Berry County. So spending the opioid settlement money wisely ensures that it directly benefits those most affected by the crisis and addresses systemic issues that we have here. Transparent, community-driven decision-making processes can ensure funds are allocated effectively and equitably, creating long
Thank you, Bill. Additional public comment?
Good morning, Joel, Bassett Township. We went down to the Harvest Point facility on Christmas Eve, and late thank you to Mr. Haney. That place is nice. My daughter played violin. I played piano. We had a good time with a number of the residents there. And I encourage, especially musicians, maybe we should get together and head that way, because they thoroughly enjoyed it. Secondly, one of our judges made the news here recently on a conviction or sentencing that he had done. The Court of Appeals threw it back at him twice and then said we need a new judge. It was over a drunk driving. Now, I've been personally affected by drunk drivers. I don't hold animus towards them, but there's been a number of situations here where I think that the sentencing has been too late, and I think it's quite horrendous that the Court of Appeals thinks that a third-time habitual drunk driver who was blown at 3 times the legal limit seems to need little to no jail time. So I don't know how to send a message to the Court of Appeals, but I want to give my support to the judge in his sentencing on that. I personally think that it was appropriate, and I don't want to wind up in a situation where we have someone who's been through the system over and over and over again and wind up killing someone, or even worse yet, I know of one individual who had 3 DUIs, 3 consecutive days. I didn't even know that was possible. And then he wound up dying due to alcohol and drugs. So perhaps it could have been saved if he had actually been given a sentence. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Additional public comment? Nothing from the harbor master this morning? Okay. All right, we will move ahead with our agenda. The chair will entertain a motion for approval of the January 7th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Hatfield, support by Tunison for approval of the January 7th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Is there a further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next up, we will Mary Bassett from Transit.
How are you guys today?
Awesome. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning. I am here to have the resolution of intent to be put on next week's agenda. So a couple of updates. We did right around 66,000 rides last year. And so we average probably 5,000 to 6,000 rides each month. As you know, we have 3 new same-day routes. Open it back up on Saturdays, and we all have our staff CPR certified. So that's a good thing. The month of February, we are going to be doing Fill a Bus, and we are going to do a food drive for the United Way. So anybody who comes to ride and gives 3 perishable items can ride for free.
Awesome. You say 5,000 to 6,000 rides per month?
Yes. Yep.
Fantastic.
It's quite a bit.
As we look through the request for funding on this, is there any significant changes year over year?
No significant changes. I think the biggest change for us is going to be lower funding from the state. So the percentage that they reimburse us has gone down quite a bit. So if you know of any of the local legislators where you can encourage them to pull funding and put it more into public transportation, that would be perfect.
Is the county share taking up that space then, or we?
The millage helps a lot with that, and basically it's just, if we didn't have that millage, we probably wouldn't be running. There's a lot of transit agencies that are making cutbacks and are probably going to go out of business. We're fine. We have enough money in the local funds to be able to make up the difference, but if we don't find a way to have somebody in the government increase our funds, eventually there's going to be a lack of transportation, not for Berry County, but for other places.
Okay, awesome. Questions from Mayor?
It's not related to that, but have you been in contact with Courtney about what we're going to do with when we do build a new Commission on Aging?
Yeah,
Because of seniors' concerns of
Yep.
transportation.
we will have no issues. We take them to the COA already, so it's just another 5-minute drive. So there won't be any interference with that in any shape or form.
Yeah, I didn't think there would be. I just wanted to get some reassurances for a lot
Yeah.
of seniors who think that it's going to be a big struggle to get there.
Nope, there won't be, not at all.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Additional questions for Mayor? Yeah, that was one of the things as we build the new COA facility, just as far as having routes out there, regular runs, maybe pickup points in the city, some different places like that, or from the main areas in the county to do that. But that'll be a discussion we'll have down the road as well as we get things going. So,
Just like today, the roads are icy. It's nasty outside. It's cold, but we're still going to go out to Prairieville and pick up the people who want to go to the COA. So it won't interfere, and it'll be door-to-door service. And then one last thing before I go, it's really cold out there, right? So if you know of anybody who doesn't have a place to stay, have them call and contact transit, because even if it's finding a shelter the next county over, we'll get them there and we'll give them a ride for free. Nobody should be cold, especially on days like this. So.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of Resolution 25-05, fiscal year 2026, resolution of intent to apply for state formula operating assistance under Act 51 of Public Acts of 1951 as amended, to name Transportation Director Mary Bassett as the official representative for all public transportation matters, who is authorized to provide such information as deemed necessary by the State Transportation Commission or Department for its administration of Act 51, and to sign and execute all agreements and documents.
Support.
Motion by Carlton, support by Getty. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mary.
Have a good day and try to stay warm.
Thank you.
Next up, Liz Lenz, opioid settlement funds, request for proposal.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Already.
Yeah, isn't it great that we can get to the 21st of January and still be wishing people Happy New Year? So thank you for allowing us to come in front of you today. It feels familiar, but also exciting to be at this point today to bring you an RFP to look at, to consider spending Berry County's first opioid settlement funds. So I do want to thank the opioid settlement fund steering committee. Rich Franklin has been leading that work group, and we have other members that have been, I want to thank, including Catherine Getty and Rich Timke. Unfortunately, due to the weather today, just isn't able to join us, but is here in spirit. We know, probably watching on YouTube as well. So lots of work has gone into this, and lots of time has gone into this. I've been coming to speak to the Board of Commissioners about this for a couple of years now, and been bothering county administrators for many years before that, and I will continue to do so. I'm sorry, Eric. So we are going to briefly just present some things and then be sure to have plenty of time for questions. So I'll turn it over to Rich Franklin. And in your packet, before I do that, I'll just explain in your packet, you did receive a timeline that we would ask you to approve today or to review and approve, on also the RFP itself. We created a document about a snapshot of Berry County substance use data for reference, and some of those are available on the table, as well as the timeline. And then, of course, you have the report from MSU, the final report of the opioid community needs opioids assessment, which is a lot. It's a lot to unpack, and I would look forward to coming later in February or March to go over that with all of you in detail when you're not having such heavy agendas.
All right. So, good morning. Thank you for allowing us to be here. And for the record, my name is Rich Franklin. I'm the superintendent of Berry Intermediate School District, but we closed school again, so I had to go find a meeting. No, sorry. I did have the honor of working with this group. That's a hot mic, isn't it? I'm going to sit back. I had the honor of working with Catherine and Rich, and I told them he was excused this morning because it's just, it's a rough ride from where he lives. So I'm going to back up even more. How's that?
Is that worse?
I don't know. Okay. Better?
Actually, it's better.
Okay. So at any rate, we've been meeting to go over all of the expectations from various government authorities that all this money flows through. But I always think it's good to start with framing an issue. What is this all about? And as Liz said, she's been talking about it for a long time, and people have probably been in and out of that conversation. But opioids, of course, are drugs that are like basically synthetic versions of heroin or morphine. The drugs that really knock you out when you have horrible pain. Pharmaceutical companies developed wonderful drugs to help people with terrible pain from all kinds of surgeries and injuries, including many wounded veterans who've come back from awful conflicts. But the truth is that, well, I shouldn't say the truth, the generally settled truth is that a lot of people ended up abusing those drugs because they were made way too available. The allegation, of course, then that the court settled on, or that the settlement settled on, was that drug companies had really pushed these drugs, which then created horrible addiction and all kinds of other issues. And then when you can't get your OxyContin anymore, it becomes street drugs, and we're back to heroin and fentanyl and carfentanil and all kinds of things. So when we talk about the opioid crisis, it's a lot more than just people take OxyContin a little too much. It is a crisis that has engulfed our country. So the various drug manufacturers have settled or are settling with the government on how much money they're willing to pay for the damage they've created. And those monies then come down to states and counties and municipalities to say, as my friend Bill mentioned, what can we do to make a better world, to begin to rebuild our communities, to help repair some of the damage that some people have suffered. So that's the heart of it. We were tasked with, from the Substance Abuse Task Force, putting together a committee, including Catherine Getty, one of our county commissioners, to come up with a request for proposal document so that groups can apply appropriately for those funds. And as Bill said, it's important to us, hopefully it'll be important to everyone, that money goes towards really undoing some of that harm and preventing further harm. There are lots of massive settlement lawsuits over the years, and sometimes the money seems to go to everything but the thing it should have gone to, and we know that's not the way we want to do things in Berry County. So you have the timeline that Liz referenced, this very colorful document. This is 01, 02, 03, 04 down the side. I know that you have some other documentation. We don't want to walk you through this whole RFP point by point, but we do want to be able to take any questions. So I think we'd like to be open for that, unless Catherine wants to speak to anything in particular first.
I know that I had a question from a constituent, and I didn't know how to answer it. The deadline for questions is 2 weeks before the deadline for submittal. And I don't remember that being that big of a gap. Sometimes when you get down to submittal is when you have the most questions.
Yes.
So I didn't know if it was a typo or...
I think in revising this, we may have missed that.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's great.
That's what I thought too.
So I'm hearing you say that it should be maybe the same day.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's when people, when I've written grants,
Okay.
sometimes I get to the final hour and have a really important question before I hit send.
Okay. We'll mark that change. Were there any other questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I was looking at some of the things you can do, and it's all great stuff related to recovery once someone is addicted. Is there any, or can this money be used, and I'm not sure how to address prevention of people becoming addicted as opposed to treating them after they've had addiction or a crisis?
So I think let me restate what you're asking. Are you asking about prevention of, yes. Prevention is definitely an issue that we would consider. The state and our report from MSU have kind of given us some recommendations to look at. And if you read the report from MSU, you know, like recovery housing, transportation, the barriers to get to and from services, in some level that can be a form of prevention as well, right? You're removing those barriers. We're fairly well equipped in terms of substance use prevention dollars here in Berry County through a large grant at the time, and so we won't, the Substance Abuse Task Force will not be applying for any of these dollars, obviously, as to prevent conflict of interest. We would consider prevention as an application, but it might not get some of the bonus point scoring. Does that answer your question, Dr. Colton?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you know, I know I don't know an exact percentage, but of people, you mentioned prescriptions, drugs being prescribed. I'm a chiropractor, and I see patients that I just had one this week with heavy fentanyl.
I'm magnetic or something today, I'm sorry.
As opposed to people who become addicted through prescription drugs and such, they're actually prescribed the drugs, or people who become opioid addicted through street use.
I don't know those numbers. I can look into it. Oh boy, we can look into that. That would be getting into some of the data quite deeply. We do have access to some of that data through Berry County Community Mental Health, but it's not all-inclusive. So it would only consider people who perhaps we can collect data if they're using state funds or Medicaid. We don't have data on people who utilize self-fund or private insurance to grab that data. But the difference is the pathway to substance use disorders. Is it because they were prescribed a legitimate prescription and became dependent, or is it because they were using illicit illicit substances and then I don't know the answer, but I'll see what I can find out and I'll report back to you, Dr. Colton. I'm happy to email you an answer or email Dave or all of you if you'd like.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Dr. Colton, if I could, the RFP targets 4 main areas: recovery housing, recovery support services, harm reduction initiatives, and quick response teams. But then right after that does say additional service areas will be considered, including prevention services and treatment services.
Thank you.
Questions for Liz or Rich? How are we going to, market's probably not the right word, but how are we gonna push this information out so people know that we're looking for RFPs, we're looking for people who want to engage with these funds?
That's a great question. You might remember that I came to you a year ago and told you that the Substance Abuse Task Force had already embedded a opioid settlement funds webpage on our Substance Abuse Task Force page. So as soon as this is approved, everything will be uploaded. We'll make an announcement. We will get information out through electronic and traditional media to all of our partners, asking them to share the information. We'll be out and about with all the community partners. I brought my team with me today, and we've got Bill and Rich and everyone who belongs to the Substance Abuse Task Force will do their part to share this information to get it into the people's hands that are interested in applying or might know somebody who is. I suspect that there'll be, I'm hoping to have something in the newspaper, and also we'll have plenty of things on our social media out and about. We're pretty, we know how to mobilize when needed, and as soon as we have approval, we will mobilize.
Okay. And then obviously there'll be a scoring process, or you'll look at all different proposals as they come in.
Yes, and Bill Mattson is going to be in charge of that work group to avoid conflict of interest. The RFP development work group is different than the RFP scoring work group, and we've got some fine individuals that have stepped forward to say that they'd like to serve this community in that way.
Okay. And off the top of my head, it seems like it was like $16,000 a year or something like that, or was that low? Was it?
Well,
Significantly more, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember what the number
The
was.
last time Eric gave me some numbers, it was 420.
Oh, we were.
Yep, and you were expecting 90 to come in. So the work group recommended that we look at making available $250,000 for this first round, up to. You certainly don't have to award that much, but it makes sense to get those funds available and to not limit or restrict, to see how this process goes. I will say that we have been in conversation across the state of Michigan with other communities that are a touch ahead of us or right in pace with us, and many communities are taking a look at maybe having this RFP process open every other year, and that gives everybody a chance to kind of get used to this process and see how it rolls out. So that's, I think, if I may speak, that's kind of what we're thinking that we'd like to do, and give plenty of time to allow people to get used to this process before jumping in and having to come to you again for 2026. So we're learning as we go, and hopefully that answered your question.
Okay.
Rich?
Yeah, if it pleases the chair. We want to make sure that everyone understands that although there's a group that came up with the RFP, if the commissioners approve the RFP, then it goes forward. Another group will work with the scoring, but it's the commission that will award these grants. We're not going to sit there and say, oh, you get $250,000 and you get $250,000.
Yeah.
Everybody gets $250,000. So anyway,
We'll come
that'll
to
be
you. We'll come to you with our recommendations
Okay.
for your
Perfect.
approval.
Perfect. A lot of work went into this. That was a very thorough document, a lot of information, a lot of reading in there. So kudos to the work groups who put all that together, including Commissioner Getty. So.
Just as a reminder on the funding, it's not necessarily predictable installments over the period of the settlement. So, to Liz's point, we have 420,000. We're expecting to get some, but all the companies that we're required to pay in have to pay in by a certain date, but there's no schedule of payments. So that's, I think, why some other groups are choosing to do it every other year, because there is not that predictability of revenue.
Good information. Additional questions? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to publish and promote the Berry County Opioid Settlement Funds RFP with attachments prepared by the Opioid Settlement Fund Steering Committee RFP Work Group.
I'll make that motion with the correction for the date on the deadline for questions.
Support. Motion by Getty, support by Hatfield, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to publish and promote the Berry County Opioid Settlement Funds RFP with attachments prepared by the Opioid Settlement Fund Steering Committee RFP Work Group. Additional discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
I just want to say thank you. This is a culmination of a lot of hard work from a lot of people, and I just get to be the lucky person to thank you, but there's a lot of people that are thanking you today.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Good work. Next up, we're going to go into our interviews. For this morning, we have interviews both today and Thursday. They're kind of split up just because of the number of them we are doing at this point. So first of all, we have Conservation Easement Board interview. Joe Sancimino, is he here this morning? We're a little earlier. Not too far off, though. No, Joe?
I haven't seen him.
Okay.
He was appointed by the Hastings Charter, and I think he wants to move into the whole board.
Nobody hiding out there? Okay. We will move ahead, and if Joe comes in, we will squeeze him back into the interviews. So, Commission on Aging Board, we have 4 positions to fill. We have several people to interview on those, a few of which were not available to be with us this morning. Don Bowers, not in attendance. His information is in the packet. He is also currently on the board. Lois Bowers, I believe that is his spouse. Betsy Colgan, who is also an incumbent serving on that board right now. Deb Crosariol, we're interviewing on Thursday. Karen Heath, not in attendance, but her resume is in the packet as well. Sally Shuster-Shoff is not in attendance, but her information is in the packet, and we'll talk about them a little bit more in detail. And then Doug Jones, who is applying for both Commission on Aging and on the Transit Board. So is Lois here this morning? Good morning.
Morning.
If you would like to take a minute and tell us a little bit about yourself and your involvement with the Commission on Aging and why you see yourself being a good fit.
I've been involved in since I retired.
Okay.
18 years I've been a MAP counselor, guiding seniors through the Medicare, Medicaid. Done open enrollment for 18 years, and that has been an eye-opener.
So 18 years working with the Commission on Aging.
Pardon?
18 years working with the Commission on Aging? Okay.
30 years at Consumers Energy.
Wow. Quite a career. Congratulations.
Yeah. And they all were with, I was in customer service, so.
A lot of fun people when you deal with customer service. Commissioner Colton, you serve on that board, so we're going to have you start out with questionings.
Okay. I know Lois, and she's a great person. I see her around at the Commission on Aging a lot, even when her husband's not there, and I think she could be a great addition to the board. So I really don't have a question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Bassett.
So what would be, as you're so active in the Commission on Aging, what are some of your highest priorities and reasons why you want to serve on that board?
Why I went to what?
What are your highest priorities and why are you looking to serve on that board?
I think we are missing out very much. I mean, when I counsel the seniors, they don't even know a lot of the things that are available in our county through COA. And I think it's going to be an asset for the new building. And it's going to be right next to the gym, which I think the Harvest Point is the best. So I just think we need to get some exposure out there to our public, our seniors.
Okay. Commissioner Getty?
What do you see as the biggest challenge? And you may have answered it here, but what do you see as the biggest challenge in the next 5 years for our seniors in the county?
What is for the next 5 years? Hopefully we'll have a new building, and COA will, the exposure throughout the county will grow. You know, we're just, it's just disappointing when you have these seniors come in and they don't know what's available at COA.
Absolutely. Commissioner Hatfield?
I have no question.
questions. I've had the pleasure of working with Lois for quite a few years on the Hastings Planning Commission, so we're well acquainted. So thank you for applying. And thank you for everything you're doing out there right now.
Commissioner Campbell.
Good morning, Lois. Yeah, I think the outskirts, a lot of my townships are quite a ways away from the center of activity here, and I know that finding a way to reach them a little better as to what's going on down here, and that they do have the transit available to help them get down here, would be a great thing. I think Lois herself her history and everything speaks for itself. I think
I'm sorry.
I think you would be an excellent candidate. I think your history speaks for itself, so I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Commissioner Tunison.
Lois, I want to thank you and Don for all your years of dedication to this community and what you guys have given back. And in your current position up there, I know you help a lot of seniors with that enrollment process, so that means a lot to them.
Very interesting.
It means a lot to them, too, that you are guiding them. So.
It's very rewarding when they walk out and they've got something they thought they couldn't have.
Right.
So.
Well, thank you.
But I have to ask all of you, how many of you have attended the functions that are going on up at COA? You know, so I suggest that you all participate. Courtney's doing a great job.
Lois, we appreciate you coming this morning at this beautiful weather, so be safe out there. We'll make a decision on Thursday, and we'll get in touch with you and let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Betsy here this morning.
Yes, I am.
I remember you now. I just haven't seen you for a while.
I know.
If you'd like to give us a brief introduction of yourself, your experience with the COA, anything else you'd like to add?
Right, well, it's pretty new, my experience. I retired here about 13 years ago from Virginia. I had a career in publishing for many years. And I got involved, applied to be on the board, and thankfully got selected because I've enjoyed every single minute on the board. It's been such a learning process and so exciting to see what's going on. So, hope to continue with your support.
Commissioner Colton.
Well, I've been working with you for the last few years, and I find you have excellent attendance, get involved, very bright. Also, the MSU alumni pretty much locks it up, so I support it.
There you go.
Parking lot, is it parking lot X or Y by the railroad tracks?
Yes.
Yes.
There you go. Okay. Commissioner Bassett.
I'll ask you the same question that I asked Lois. Tell me about your goals as you went down on that board for this next term, and what are some of your priorities there?
I have to agree with Lois on the community outreach needs work. I've done some of that in the past couple of years, meeting with townships and within the community, trying to educate people about the resources and especially about the new building. I guess there's probably still some resistance out there to change, but I find it interesting even in my own neighborhood. So many people don't know anything about the COA, and so I've tried to promote things, the lunches, the lasagna dinners, and anyway, so I think we need more community outreach. Many people don't know about the COA. I think priorities, increasing resources and benefits to the clients that come in. The new building, obviously a huge priority to get to being built, and I want to thank this commission for having the foresight to start this ball rolling for the building. It's going to be great. I think another huge challenge is going to be finances over the next few years. The number of seniors is just increasing so fast, and we're going to have a lot more in the system. So Courtney is so good at getting the finance going and all the grants from the state and local and federal authorities, but I think that's going to be a huge challenge in the next few years.
Yeah. Commissioner Gay?
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for applying. I think you really answered my question about what are the biggest challenges in the next few years, so thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioner Hatfield?
So of your volunteer activities with COA, what have you enjoyed the most and what have you enjoyed the least?
Well, just being involved in some of the activities at the center. I love working at the community lunches like the Thanksgiving and the Christmas lunch, and helping out at the lasagna dinner, which I'm thinking when we get the new building, we're going to be able to have a lot more attendance at some of these, which will help with our fundraising activities. I've enjoyed everything. I've enjoyed being on the board. You've got a great working board, and everybody collaborates so well. So I think just understanding the needs of the seniors, and of which I am one, and helping them navigate the system as far as what's available to them, both at the center and in their home, which is huge.
Commissioner Campbell?
I'd just like to say it's obvious we made a good choice when we put you on there, and
Thank you.
I hope we make that good choice again.
I do too. Thank you.
Commissioner Tennyson?
I've been up to the Commission on Aging many a time, and I've seen you there, and I've seen your commitment up there.
Thank
And you've been a great addition to that board, so
Thanks.
I think that you'd be great to continue in the future. So
Thank you.
thank you for your commitment.
Certainly enjoyed it. I have to admit.
Yeah, certainly appreciate your reapplication. That tells me that you enjoy what you're doing and want to continue on that. It's going to be a busy term for you.
It sure is. I'm looking forward to it.
New building, possibly some new branding or some new thinking on it, because that was always one of the questions. Does the name scare people when you call it Commission on Aging? And you go, well, I'm 61, but I'm not old, right? It's the junior seniors. Is that what they call it? You know?
That's a good term, but we definitely want to attract that group, and aging is probably not the right word, maybe.
That's how do we share the message and get more people involved, especially kind of with a renaissance with a new building and everything going on. It's quite an opportunity.
Right.
So it'll be a fun 4 years. So
I think there's going to be a lot of activities out there and resources that will attract the junior seniors. I like that.
there you go. There you go. Well, I appreciate your application, Betsy. We'll make a decision on Thursday, and we'll be in touch.
Okay. Thank you very much.
When do you cease being a junior senior?
I think it's more a state of mind versus an age.
As long as you don't take a fall on the ice.
Is that what it is? When
Your first fall.
yeah. Okay. Next up, we're going to interview Deb on Thursday. Karen Heath is not in attendance today. How about Doug Jones? Mr. Jones? No, Mr. Jones. And Sally Shuster-Shoff will not be in attendance with us today either. So we'll review that again on Thursday. And again, if anybody comes in, we can squeeze them in on Thursday. So let's go to Transit Board. Craig Stolsonburg.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Craig. Welcome back to your old stomping grounds.
Thanks. Hasn't changed a bit. In fact, if you look on the berrycounty.org website and you see a picture of the dais up there, there's a couple certificates may or may not be mine on there. So.
There you go. There you go. But tell us about, I see that you've been on the Transit Board for...
I think 8 years.
8 years?
I believe
Okay.
so. Served as chair for the past couple of years, ever since the retirement of Commissioner Gibson. I've served, obviously, previously as on the County Board of Commissioners, Solid Waste Oversight Committee, Barry Eaton District Health Department. I could go on but nobody wants to listen to that. So.
Okay. You've done a lot.
I've been around.
You've been around. Okay.
Yep.
Commissioner Colgan, you're on Transit?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Craig, I know I've known Craig for many years. In fact, we were commissioners together. And really shows a lot of leadership on the board. He's our chair right now. Kind of like the spread of the board now, him being in Middleville, John Smelker being in Freeport area, me being in Nashville, because it helps with one of the goals of trying to get more transit services outside of Hastings, into the peripheral areas. And really, we've seen a tremendous change in Nashville, especially under the leadership of Mary Bassett, where it used to just be a bus would come in once in the morning, take people to Hastings, and then they'd have to hang around Hastings until like 4 in the afternoon, or just a much later time. And so I'd see some of the residents in Nashville just walking around Hastings waiting for the bus, but now there's a much, much improved service. And I think Mary even said every hour they're in Nashville. So Craig's been a big part of this, and I really don't have questions because I know Craig so well, but I would like to see him back.
Sounds like he's doing everything but driving the bus, so
Not driving the bus.
Commissioner Bassett?
Well, I'm going to ask the same question, Craig.
Sure.
And I'm curious, what are some of your goals and priorities for the next term? Also, why you want to stay on the board?
I enjoy serving on the board. I think one of my bigger goals would be to support Mary and her goals for the transit, get as much service to the outskirts of Berry County as much as possible. When I was on the county board, I served Orangeville. I think it's important to serve the folks of Orangeville, Syria, Nashville, and Delton to make sure that they've got as much service as possible and to keep it reasonable for them. I think you can go anywhere in Berry County for $1.50. I can't even go 5 feet with $1.50 in my car, so it's it's pretty good that we're able to receive as many funds as possible so we can keep the price point low for people that need the service.
Commissioner Getty?
I don't have any questions. Thanks, Craig.
Commissioner Hatfield?
I don't either.
Okay.
Thanks
Commissioner?
for the work you've done and your willingness to continue.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Campbell?
I also like to say thank you to Craig. He's involved with so many things in the county. Everybody knows the name, and everybody respects the name. It's slam dunk. Glad you're here.
I'm glad to hear that. Not sure that I don't get to the outskirts as much. I'm not sure what the word is, but I appreciate that.
No, anybody that's doing public service, and you've done a lot of it. Think about all the giving back you've given already in your life, plus you got a long ways to go. So I want to thank you for redoing this and what your commitment is. So thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't have any questions, Craig. I think your service speaks for itself. We'll make a decision on this on Thursday and give you the information then. Thanks for coming out this morning.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Stay well up there.
Yes. Oh, yes. Next up, Lani Forbes with an update on Berry County United Way. And Rich is back. I'm back.
Rich is back. Rich is our incoming board chair for the Berry County United Way. So kind of grabbed him to come up here with me, although we have a couple of board members that are in this room as well. So what I wanted to talk with you about was Berry County Veterans Affairs. Again, thank you for the partnership and the belief in the work that we do at Berry County United Way, trusting us with the veterans across Berry County. We have some really exciting news. We had applied for a housing grant to assist our veterans. We applied for $66,000. They came back to us, they approved the 66, said they were going to send us the contract. 3 days later called us and said, would you take $250,000 instead and do it over 5 years? So we have received a $250,000 grant to provide assistance to our veterans with housing, whether that be mortgage or rent. You have the information in front of you about what those qualifications are. a couple things that I would mention. Again, you have that in front of you. Generally, it is at the ALICE population, the asset limited income constrained employed. So for a family of 4, that would mean income under $60,000. However, there are situational considerations that will be taken into account, the fiscal responsibility and the affordability of the housing for the individual. So we're very excited about this. This falls right in with all of the other housing grants that we have. Gives us a little bit more leniency than most of those. The ESG grants and the PSH and the Rapid Rehousing grants all have some very tight parameters for how we can provide that assistance. But with our veterans, we can be much more inclusive in what their needs are. So pretty excited about that. Also included in there, in your packet today, was the information about the VITA program, the Volunteer and Tax Assistance. Again, one of those things that not only helps our veterans, but helps many across our community. So any household earning under $67,000 qualifies to get their taxes done for free. This program, I will say, was started several years ago by someone in this room, Courtney Zinni, and we've been able to build on that based on the incredible great job that she did. Last year we did over 767 tax returns, returning over $1 million to Berry County residents. So I would ask that you take both of these documents with you when you visit townships, when you attend meetings, and let's make sure that we are connecting with those that need it. There are a lot of predatory tax preparation out there. This right away, if the family is under $67,000, right away it saves them at least $300, right? That's right off the top. So wanting to make sure that you all had that information and you had the information to share. Any questions from any of you?
$250,000 over 5 years, so $50,000 a year.
We can spend it up to 5 years. So we could spend $250,000 if all of a sudden we had a situation where maybe there's a housing collapse, right? Maybe there's something that happens. We could spend any of that. We have up to 5 years to spend that amount. So
that's available almost immediately once the process, or once it's already approved, it's already set up.
I didn't come here until after we had the signed documents from the state to ensure that it all went through as they said it was going to.
Good idea. Yeah. Good idea. Okay, I was going to say, if it was $50,000 a year, that doesn't seem to go far. Certainly a help, but if you have $250,000, that's fantastic, plus the tax help. That is some great news for the county. I guess, and that's the question, is how do we let our veterans know, other than the contact you have in the office there, that these services are available?
Well, now that the contract is signed, we will be working with all of the local veteran organizations as well as the local posts, making sure that this is out there. We also have a Facebook page that this will be posted on, and we're counting on people like you to make sure that the information is spread, because while we know that putting things in the paper, I was listening as they were talking about spreading the word about COA, that there's articles in the paper, like you do all of those kinds of things, and people say, well, I didn't know anything about it. So we have found that the best way to get this information out there is for people to share the information, for you to say to somebody, I'm taking it to Irving Township tonight, I'll take it to the Village of Freeport. We'll, again, it's that one-on-one, making sure we're connecting. We're also connecting with all of the local businesses that are part of the Family Economic Support Office. All of them will certainly have this information as well. So share it with anyone. You have it electronically, send it out to your mailing list.
Awesome. Commissioner
I have
Bassett?
a question. So how are you going to vet out all these people? I don't know. Hopefully you get a lot of applications, and how will you make those decisions? Is there a process?
Well, Marcia, I honestly hope we don't get a lot of applications, because I'd like to think that our veterans don't need assistance with rent and mortgage. But when they do, they have to be a Berry County resident. We'll look at a lot of things. The documentation is all on that sheet that you have. And so, again, looking at what the income is coming into the household, are they, what's the DD 214, are they an honorably discharged veteran? Looking at all of the different documentation that we need that's on this list to be able to vet that out and to make sure that we're investing in the right places with these dollars. So we would certainly want to take a look at, so maybe a veteran has $7,000 a month in income and all of a sudden hasn't made 3 months of mortgage payments. Like, what's going on in that household? How can we not only maybe assist, depending on what that looks like, but how can we also connect them with financial stability with our Family Economic Support Office, work at budgeting, work at what needs to happen to help this veteran become successful? We won't be able to help someone that is in an unaffordable situation. You know, maybe somebody has $2,000 a month in income coming in and they're renting for $3,000 a month. That is not, but we would work on helping to identify additional housing resources. If you haven't been on the United Way website, every Monday we do a housing search, and you can click on the big blue house on the front of our page, and it will bring up all housing units that we've been able to identify throughout Berry County that are available. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
And it even answers my follow-up question.
Okay.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Other questions for Elaine? Mr. Dalton?
Thank you. Going back to the tax assistance, so I want to put this out in Nashville at the different meetings I go to. It says to schedule an appointment, call the United Way, and then I see you've got Putnam Library.
Yes.
So how does, I want to be able to describe this properly.
Sure. So if they call the 269-945-4010 number and say they want to schedule a tax appointment, we ask if they're a Berry County resident, and then the next question is, what community do you live in? Would you like to go to a tax appointment closest to that? We then have all of those different dates on a Google sheet. We go to PDL down at the bottom at the first available date that there is, and schedule them for that date if they prefer. I will tell you, Commission on Aging is a hot spot, and the first 3 dates that we have at Commission on Aging are already full. So, but we schedule January, February, March, and April. And so we just go through and schedule them what works for them. If that time doesn't work that we're there, we'll figure out another time for them or another location.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good time to talk to them about it because W-2s are coming.
Yeah.
They have to be by the end of this month.
We also do drop-offs at our office, so if somebody had, we would provide them with all of the information that's needed. When they come into our office, they fill out a form, check off all of the items, so we make sure that all of the items are in there, and then we will call them when their taxes are done.
Thank you. I'm just curious because I always see these tax places even springing up at the mall temporarily. It's kind of like those places that just sell costumes on Halloween. They're open and closed. They're selling fireworks open and closed. But so these places like that just open and close on taxes, what do they charge someone? Is it like $300 you said? Or?
An average is about $300, but I don't do a study on what the cost is for them.
Okay, thank you.
It's all over the board, but you get what you pay for.
Yes. Additional questions? Commissioner Gay?
I have a question. It's just because it's timely. You did a great job of explaining this, but it's really cold outside. And while you have a microphone in front of you, are there a list of warming centers where we can direct people?
So currently, we haven't had anyone call 211 to ask for a warming center. We monitor that. They know that no matter what time it is, if they get a call about that at 211, they're to call me. I also work with 911 very closely on those kinds of issues as well. So there are what we consider the normal warming centers. Commission on Aging is available during regular business hours. The local libraries are available, and Serenity Club has also opened up to provide some housing or some warming if they need it. But currently, we have not had any calls either to 911 or to 211 related to that. So unless there's a need, we wouldn't create something that needs to be staffed 24 hours a day. And we work very closely with emergency management on that as well. So
That's great news to hear that most people are in a place where they're secure and they're warm. So
they can certainly call our office 24 hours a day if there is a need. And we have made preparations should there be something that comes up. We have a pre-plan and are ready to roll if something is needed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Additional questions for Rich or Lani? Commissioner Campbell.
Not really a question, just a compliment. I'm the commander at the Delton VFW 422 post in Delton, and I'll for sure pass all this on. It's very good information. Appreciate all that you do. Also, I received something, I believe, from the county a week ago or so, letting us know about the upcoming appointments to the board and stuff, and for asking for input. So I really appreciate all the county does for the veterans. It's a very, very heartfelt county we have here towards the veterans, and we appreciate that.
Thank you for letting us have the opportunity to provide it.
Is this model taking off in other parts of the state? I mean, it's kind of unique that our United Way houses our veteran services, and that's not done. I mean, this is kind of a flagship program for the state. Is it taking off anywhere else, or is it still very unique to Berry County?
So Muskegon County has now moved to working with Veterans Affairs in this type of a manner. Actually, it's United Way of the Lakeshore, so it's Oceana, Muskegon, I'm not going to remember all the counties, Newego, that are working with their Veterans Affairs from their county. Some of those counties don't have Veterans Affairs, and so the work that they're doing. So yes, that is the case with Muskegon, Lansing, Greater South Michigan United Way is also in the process. And we've worked with United Ways across the country that are starting the Mission United. Come to find out, we were the second in the nation. We didn't even know they were doing it down in Broward County in Fort Lauderdale. So yeah, we've been able to help many others, whether Connecticut, New York, all over the place.
Okay.
So.
And to answer a question for my fellow commissioners who weren't involved in this conversation, you and I had this a couple months back where someone called me and said, Berry County is the only county in the state that doesn't have a veteran service officer. And we found out that that was in fact not the case, but if you want to explain the VSO, what they do, why we don't have one stationed here locally, or what the challenges that might be helpful for other commissioners as we run across that.
So several years ago, there was an issue that happened with the county employee that was a VSO, and the office had to be closed. We had always been working with the veterans to provide additional assistance for veterans, and so we called, at the time, Administrator Michael Brown and said, send the veterans to our office, we'll figure this out. We can't have veterans not having a place to go. And so we then worked with getting the medical benefits coordinators coming into the office, scheduling those appointments for our veterans, and started working directly with the veterans themselves. That seemed to be working really well because they were able to, we have several people in our office that were all trained to work with veterans, not just the VSO. And so one of the things we heard often from the veterans is, I can't believe someone answered the phone. So we began moving forward and ended up connecting with the, working with the county to coordinate and be the subcontract to be the Veteran Service Officer. So Joe Seach is currently serving as our Veteran Service Officer. Joe has been with us for a little over a year. He comes to us from Chattanooga, Tennessee, where he was he had left a position as a detective, homicide detective, and he's not here today because he's listening to closing arguments and sentencing on one of his last cases. So we have two benefits coordinators that come into our office. Mondays, we have Patty Breeze from the American Legion, and Tuesday, we have Andrew Ferguson from the DAD. So we've been able to increase the amount of connection for getting people their benefits that are needed as well.
Very good setup. Very good setup. Additional questions?
Just an additional statement, and I'll say this because Lani's too modest to do it. But what we've talked about today in a number of programs that a lot of United Ways do not do. There are still an unbelievable number of United Ways out there that view their mission in a very narrow fashion. They raise money and they give it away after they pay for their operation. We are blessed to have a director, Lani, and a succession of boards that look at the mission in a much broader fashion. If we see a problem, the preference would be, is there another agency already up and operating that can address that problem? If not, we're not going to ignore it. We're going to find a way to address it. So taking on Veterans Affairs is a good example of that. Supporting the VITA program is a good example of that. All of the housing initiatives that we have, the rental assistance, the utilities assistance, and many more are just an example of the organization stepping forward and saying the community needs this, and we think there's funding out there for it. The amount of grant funding that we bring in to supplement our campaign funding is unbelievable. So we owe a great debt to Lani and her vision and her willingness to take those things on. And she's built a great organization over there to support that breadth of activity.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jim, we even supported you when you needed pumps for water, right? We pumped out basements because that was the need. So anyway, thank you so much. If you have any questions, send anybody to me.
Can we get a copy of this document electronically so we can share it via email? Is that in the, got it? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Stay warm. Commissioners, do we need a 5-minute break, or are you okay to continue? We'll continue on. Jim Dole.
As always, I got paperwork for you.
Always something.
Good morning, Commissioners. Is this on?
Yes.
Okay. Jim Bradbury, County Drain Commission. Over the course of the last year and a half, we've been working on updating the first one is the Deputy Drain Commissioner classification, trying to get a handle on everything she has to do down in our office. As the drain work has come in and reviews have come in and projects have come in, that job description has grown considerably. She did get $11,000 from you guys this last year. Thank you for the Solid Circle programming. So now we can track the money coming in and going out of our office, which we never could do before. There's a lot of other things we've picked up. Taylor, it's a tablet that we can actually, we're getting everything put onto it.
that we can go out in the field, and if a drain isn't visible, we can find the thing with GPS. She knows how to run that. I don't. I'll be the first to admit. I don't get into electronic stuff. My maintenance guy can do the same thing. And we've got the bad elf or dumb elf or something like that that hooks onto it so we can get them drains down to within 3 feet of what it's supposed to be. It's pretty amazing, but like I say, I can't operate that thing. But we sent a job description to the classification committee. They reviewed it, and they believe that she should be moved up to a grade 8 from a grade 7. And so we're asking, I think Lois got it on the agenda request, there will be an increase to the county budget to pay her wages. I don't have that in front of me. I think it's $2,300 a year, plus benefits. So I was directed by Luella to bring it up in front of the commissioners and get you guys' approval on that.
So it's been reviewed by the classification committee. Yep. And they have approved the reclassification up from a grade 7 to a grade 8?
Correct. Yep.
That's their recommendation?
Yep. And Luella sent me the email explaining it all. I believe it's in the beginning of your packet, so I'm old school.
Just so you know, everything you just gave us was already in the package. To save a few trees.
I like hard copies. When you're looking at something, sometimes on the computer, some people don't do as well. I know I don't. I like to be able to redline things and have it as a hard copy.
I'm just saying, we have hard copies already.
Oh, hard copies?
Yes, it was in the agenda packet.
Okay. Well, we generally...
Coordination so we can save a tree.
Yeah. Well, you remember here a while back that somehow that didn't get done on the MacArthur. Somebody crossed up things and you guys got a packet that wasn't correct, and we didn't lay it up. So I thought that was our screw up by not bringing you up a hard copy. So, but yeah, if you guys want to not have the hard copy, I'm good with that too.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, coordinate with Luella and find out what she's providing hard copies of. And if she already is doing it, you can save yourself some time.
Yep, that sounds good to me.
Okay, and this is a $3,200 increase over current salary and benefits, and this is something that is billed, or this is going out of the general fund. This is not something that's being recouped from the drain office.
No.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, questions for Commissioner Dahl? Drain Commissioner Dahl.
I have a question. So for these classifications, are there salary ranges, pay scales for each classification? Is that available? Okay. I'll connect with you later because I'd like to look at those. That's all I have.
Okay. Additional questions? All right. The chair will entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached revised Deputy Drain Commissioner job description and reclassification from grade level 7 to grade level 8 on the BCCEA pay scale.
So, Campbell.
Motion by Campbell, support by Alton. To recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached revised Deputy Drain Commissioner job description and reclassification from grade level 7 to grade level 8 on the BCCEA pay scale. Additional discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Number 2.
Second one up is reclassification. Well, basically, it's an updated list of all the things that the drain maintenance position has to do. We've expanded that considerably since we started it back 6 years ago. He's moving equipment, running equipment. He's trained to do pesticide work so we can start spraying our drains and kill off the invasives. It's expanded quite a bit from where we were, and we're actually, the fourth go-around on a drain maintenance guy, we got one that's actually going to stay. So it's not the easiest job there is, not just because he's working with me, but also because he's out in the elements. So, and again, we sent that to the reclassification committee, and they recommended him being moved up from a grade 2 to a grade 3 on the county classification list.
Okay, and I see this is reimbursed to the general fund.
Correct.
Out of the drain maintenance.
Yep. I'll give you a copy of the way the drain code is written, and it says that we can hire and pay people out of the drain fund as long as we get it okayed by the commissioners, and then we reimburse the county, so it's a wash on cost.
Okay. What's the process for reimbursing the county? Is that done quarterly, annually?
Well, it was quarterly when Tammy was here, but Liz likes to do it once a month. So Barb gives her a list of all the costs, presents it to Liz, and then she does the drains and puts it back into the general fund through the treasurer's office. So, yeah, we felt every 3 months was a little bit sloppy. Liz was like, okay, can we do this once a month? And then you guys ain't out that money, so.
Makes more sense for memory, too, to be able to...
Exactly.
Okay. Questions for Jim? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached revised job description and position title for the drain maintenance technician and reclassification to grade level 3 from grade level 2 on the BCCEA pay scale. Someone like to make?
So moved.
Okay.
Support.
Motion by Tunison, support by Getty, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached revised job description and position title for the drain maintenance technician and reclassification to grade level 3 from grade level 2 on the BCCE pay scale. Additional discussion or questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Number 2.
The third one is raising him from 35 hours to 40 hours a week. When we originally instituted this, we didn't know if we could be in the field. In construction, you always got that rain day. Bob will attest to it, a crappy day that you can't get out there. Bruce knows too. So we weren't comfortable. We would have the money in the 804 to pay him for 40 hours. If we had to give him a day off because it rained, too cold, whatever. Crap days like today, we're changing springs on the county truck to save money, and he's working on that right now. So we do have enough work for him to do 40 hours a week. So, and again, it'll all be reimbursed out of it pays out of general fund, reimbursed from the drain projects. So,
even this time of the year, you get 40 hours worth of work for it?
Yep. We save everything up. Oil changes on the equipment. New springs under the 2016 Chevy because it's sagging pretty bad because it just didn't have heavy enough springs for what we're doing. There's quite a bit of maintenance to be done on equipment, and we just save a nice day like today to stay inside and hide.
Okay. Questions for Drain Commissioner Dahl? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to increase the drain maintenance technician position from .875 FTE to 1.0 FTE.
So moved.
Support. Motion by Calton, support by Hatfield, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to increase the drain maintenance technician position from .875 FTE to 1.00 FTE. Additional discussion or questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Congratulations on winning. We got a 4-year crew now that we can work with. It will be much better, much easier with people being here at 4 years. And congratulations, Marcia. And we got the good things straightened out.
Yeah, I do for straight.
Good deal.
Jim, question for you.
Yep.
I was talking with Barry Bauer at Barry Township.
Yep.
You replaced a culvert on Floria Road?
Actually, what we did was we've been working on that drain or the water level structure with the people on Pleasant Mud Lake for 3 years. When we applied for the Watson permit, the DEQ required that we set lake levels on several of the lakes, and one of them was that structure right there on Floria. We had bid it out a month ago and told them that the contractor had till April. I got a call Tuesday morning that Ross Jackson was going to be doing it Thursday morning. And it kind of took me by surprise because typically they call us a little bit ahead. We got the signage in. I did get a call from Chief Johnson because she said the township didn't know anything about the project. I said, well, we sent 3 surveys out to all the people on the lake about it. The county had petitioned a feasibility study back in 1920 to set it, but the township was kind of surprised that we were actually got our permit and we're getting the project done. So that is set. They did it Thursday and Friday. They took advantage of the weather and the fact that Mud Lake is way down. It's down 15 inches. So we were really happy to get it done, and it saved us quite a bit of money on the bidding process. We had bids from $67,000 up to $122,000 on that. So we got some really good contractors bidding our stuff. We got, I think, 13 on the last pre-bid, so we're real happy about that.
Well, you already talked to Chief Johnson, but their question was, if you're going to close a road, can we call 911 or central dispatch and let them know the road's going to be closed in case there's an emergency?
Yep. I called them the night before, talked to Megan, and when I called back, after Chief Johnson got a hold of me, I called 911, and Michelle answered, and she said, yeah, it was sent out to all the EMS and the fire departments. I said, okay, cool. I said, I just thought maybe I dropped the ball. When we did a gaming this summer, the road commission at that time said, oh, if we're closing the road, then we'll call everybody. But I called them just because, you got the engineers. I had a discussion with them and told them, hey, this probably ought to be on your list from now on. Call them, before we close the road. The road commission, I talked to Jake this morning, and he said, unless they are closing the road, they do not make the calls. But, Chief Johnson was kind of surprised because I called her back the night before after she called our office, and she didn't find her message till after she called me the next day. So,
as long as there's a process in place for emergency personnel.
Yep, and I told Chief Johnson I'll be down to one of the next couple township meetings down the Bay because we got the Florida crossing and we're in the process of changing the culvert under M43 just south of Delton, that big one there. We started that back in 17. We were quite a ways along on it when NDOT took it away from us and said they're going to put a 14-by-7 box culvert in. Right now there's a 4-footer. We had a meeting this last fall with DEQ. DEQ told NDOT if they replaced it, they had to do 100 acres of wetland mitigation at $100,000 an acre, so they backed away and said, here, now it's your problem. And then they said, oh, by the way, we're going to redo the road this summer, so we've got to have it done this winter. So that's the way we do it. But they're going to pay for it, and they're going to pay for a new crossing at Spode. So our culvert is exempt. The riprap that we intend to put inside for the turtle passage, Turtle Dave says turtles will not swim through a culvert, which I did not know that, so we're getting a permit to put riprap inside the culvert so the turtles can cross through because Conservation District checks the mortality rate there, and they said there's 85 turtles a month killed on that road. So they asked us, can you do something? And the best part is NDOT's agreed to pay for the whole thing. We like that.
And make them a little turtle bridge going over in 20.
Well, if it wasn't such a problem with DEQ, we'd put a second culvert in, but DEQ is a challenge any way, shape, or form. So we said, okay, the plan is we're downsizing it to a 7-by-6 box culvert so we won't have to put floats on it to keep it up. And then put a turtle crossing inside the culvert. And John Balzer's working with us on it. The Conservation District's working with us on it. They like these things. I get it. So, and as long as it doesn't cost my taxpayers, I'm good with it. So,
the things you learn every day.
Pretty cool. All right, thanks a million, guys. Thank you very much.
Bless you. Okay, next up, Eric. Bless you again. Thank you.
Good morning. Pretty straightforward. Request to appoint Kelly Shumway in place of Sue Vandekar on the Building Authority. Sue was appointed as a nature of her position. She's not treasurer anymore. We need to remove her and put Kelly in place.
Okay.
We asked for a resignation letter, but she never got around to doing that, so.
Okay. Any questions for Eric on the request? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to remove former Berry County Treasurer Sue Vandekar from the Berry County Building Authority and appoint Kelly Shumway, Berry County Treasurer, to the Berry County Building Authority for a 3-year term that begins on 1/1/2023 and ends on 12/31/2025.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Hatfield, support by Tunison, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to remove Berry County Treasurer Sue Vandekar from the Berry County Building Authority and appoint Kelly Shumway, Berry County Treasurer, to the Berry County Building Authority for a 3-year term that begins on 1/1/2023 and ends on 12/31/2025. Additional questions or discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Next up, similar.
Yes, also in your packet, you have a request to appoint people to the Land Bank Authority. As the county treasurer by statute is the individual in charge of the authority, we need to, appoint Kelly to that role. And then you have 3 members who are being asked to be reappointed. You'd already appointed Jeff to fill out Jim McManus's term, and the other 2 would fill out new terms, both currently on the board. So,
okay. The chair will entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners to reappointment to the Berry County Land Bank Authority of Cindy Vuja, Chelsea Foster, Jeff Kiesler for a 3-year term that begins on May 1st, 2025 and ends on April 30th, 2028.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Getty, support by Hatfield, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint to the Berry County Land Bank Authority Cindy Vuja, Chelsea Foster, Jeff Kiesler to a 3-year term that begins on May 1st, 2025 and ends on April 30th, 2028. Additional questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes on whatever happens to be on your heart this morning. Hearing none. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Tunison?
A good day, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Campbell?
Stay warm.
Commissioner Hatfield?
I have nothing.
Commissioner Getty?
Nothing.
Commissioner Colton?
Was at Woodland Village last night, and Betty there was very happy that, kudos to Jim Dull and the Drain Commission, they cleared the drain of trees that was going by her house, and that's something that I've heard about many times, so I don't hear about it again.
I'm sure you will.
In Nashville, the cow project, originally the first year, I think there were 8 cows, and there have been some additional cows, and they got to bring them in for the winter to get them off the sidewalk, so those have been moved except for the ones that aren't, directly on the sidewalk. The one in front of my office, the skeleton cow, is still there because it's off the sidewalk. So they are spending their winter back up by the Nashville DPW there. So.
Okay. Good to know. In case anybody asks, where are the cows?
They're heavy. It's not an easy task to move these.
Move? Okay. Commissioner Bassett.
All set, thanks.
Thank you for commissioners. Don't forget, Thursday, special meeting, strictly for interviews. Please save your notes from today with the candidates we did interview, because we'll be making decisions on all questions, on all candidates. In addition, I think we have veteran services and a few other ones that we didn't touch on today. So we'll see you Thursday at 9 a.m. Any questions or concerns, give me a call. Other than that, have a great day. Have a warm day.